Man Jack is king of the pumpkin patch. Everyone knows the pumpkin king now.
Alone, bad, friend, good. Hello everyone and welcome to day 25 of Terrorthon. Today we're going to be doing the flip side of what we did last year with Bela Lugosi. We're going to be talking about who's often considered his rival in the horror sphere, Boris Karloff. Now, right off the bat, I just want to say that is not the case. If you do any digging whatsoever, you will see that these two gentlemen were not rivals, in fact, and were actually quite good friends. So Boris Karloff was one of the iconic horror actors, especially during the golden age of horror, but he is still very much recognised today. He was the iconic Frankenstein's monster all the way back in 1931, and that image is still used and recognised even on the likes of postage stamps to this day. And I'd like to tell you a little bit about his history, because he did a lot more than just Frankenstein, but people don't seem to recognise that, and it's a real shame. So let's remedy that right now. So, Boris Karloff was in fact a stage name. He was born as William Henry Pratt on the 23rd of November 1887. Both of his parents were actually part Indian, which caused Pratt to have quite a dark complexion, and this would cause issues at school, and it would later cause him to be typecast quite often in Indian roles. Both of his parents died when he was quite young, so he was raised by his half-sister and elder siblings. He left university without even graduating in 1909 and left for Canada from England. And he did various odd jobs until finally taking up stage acting. He began appearing in theatre in 1911, and it was during this time that he chose Boris Karloff as his stage name, because he believed that Boris sounded exotic and Karloff was a family name. He was also very worried that his family would be ashamed of his acting, and that's why he took up a stage name in the first place. And he wouldn't actually reunite with his family until 1933 when he was shooting a movie back in Britain. But he was wrong all along. His family were very, very proud of him, and one of his favourite anecdotes to tell was when all of them huddled round them for a photo and all wanted a copy of it. Because he was only appearing in very small roles, he had to do odd jobs while he was acting on his days off. His first confirmed on-screen role was in The Lightning Raider, which was released in 1919. And a turning point in his career came when he met Lon Chaney Sr., the original Phantom of the Opera, at a bus stop in the pouring rain and got a ride from him. Lon Chaney told him to find something different that will set you apart and is different from anything someone else has done or is willing to do, and do it better. He acted in 81 different movies before he was finally discovered by the director James Whale and was cast in Frankenstein, which released in 1931, and as you can imagine, this almost immediately turned him into a household name. His costume and makeup exacerbated his already existing back problems, and so he became the 9th actor of all time to receive a membership to the Screen Actors Guild, which nowadays represents around 160,000 actors. The next year, he appeared in more horror films, including The Old Dark House, 1932, where he finally received top billing on a movie. That same year, he starred as Imhotep in The Mummy, another icon of horror, and the makeup process there was even worse, unfortunately, for Mr. Karloff. And also, unfortunately for him, he was now typecast in horror roles. And he would finally appear with his perceived rival Bela Lugosi in a film adaptation of Edgar Allan Poe's The Black Cat in 1934. He always received top billing over Lugosi, and the perceived reason for this is due to the fact that Lugosi didn't have mastery of English, whereas Mr. Karloff did. Frankenstein sequels continued, and Mr. Karloff continued to appear in movies pretty much annually. And then he hosted his own anthology series called Thriller, which aired from 1960 to 1962, further solidifying him as an icon of horror. And then, somewhat amazingly, he had a career resurgence just 3 years before his death, when he narrated How the Grinch Stole Christmas, which aired in 1966. He probably took this job because he loved children. If you look into what he was like as a person, he was seen as very kind and warm, and as I say, had a deep love of children and would make appearances at children's hospitals annually. His final film appearances were in a movie called Targets, which released in 1968, and he also appeared in 4 low-budget Mexican horror films, before unfortunately he died of pneumonia on the 2nd of February 1969 at the age of 81. Despite the fact he has been dead for a very long time now, his face is still instantly recognisable, and horror would not be in the place it is today were it not for his contributions to the industry. Of course, he didn't just play Frankenstein, as I said, he also played the Mummy, and hundreds of other roles. The Old Dark House is a fantastic movie too, and worth a watch. So thank you very much for everything you've done, Mr. Karloff, and may you rest in peace. See you tomorrow.